What if I told you that the last thing he thinks about before he sleeps decides how much he craves you the next day? It's not the outfit you wore or the words you said. It's the feeling you left him with when the lights go out and his mind starts to wander. There's one simple shift you can make tonight that'll quietly anchor you in his thoughts. No chasing, no overthinking, just one moment before he sleeps that makes him feel drawn to you, even when you're not around. Here's the truth. Men don't fall for the loudest person in the room. They fall for the one who leaves an emotional echo. Before he sleeps, his brain replays what felt peaceful, what felt different, what made him feel seen. If you can give him that soft sense of connection without demanding anything in return, you become his calm in a world full of noise. It could be a short voice note that says, "I like talking to you today. Sleep well," or a simple text that ends the night on warmth, not pressure. That last emotional imprint becomes the loop he can't switch off. If this is resonating, pause and think of one way you can apply it tonight. What's one gentle, calm message that leaves him smiling before he sleeps? Try it, and you'll feel the difference in how he reaches for you tomorrow. Remember, it's not about saying more. It's about saying something that feels different, something that ends the day with warmth, not noise. When you master that, he won't just think of you. He'll feel you, even in his dreams. There's something powerful about the moments right before a person falls asleep. Our minds slow down, distractions fade, and emotions become louder. For a man, that quiet space before sleep is when everything he felt during the day starts to settle. It's when he replays conversations, remembers certain smiles, or feels the absence of someone he wishes was still around. This is the moment where attachment begins to grow without effort. What you do or say before he goes to bed can shape how much he thinks about you when he wakes up. Instead of trying to grab his attention throughout the day, focus on how you end it. A simple, warm message can stay in his mind longer than hours of chatting. It doesn't have to be deep or romantic. Something like, "Hope you sleep well. I'm glad we talked today," sounds calm but leaves an emotional trace. It tells him that he mattered in your day, that he brought a moment of peace or comfort, and that feeling lingers. When he closes his eyes, his last emotional imprint is tied to you. Gentle, thoughtful, and genuine. What makes this moment powerful is that it's quiet. There's no need for overthinking or heavy emotions. You don't have to impress him or analyze his response. The key is to let the moment breathe. Men often remember how someone made them feel, especially when the world goes silent at night. If you can be that calm energy that ends his day, you'll stand out naturally. You'll become the thought that brings him peace. And peace is something people always return to. Many people underestimate how consistency builds connection. It's not about doing this every single night, but doing it with intention when it feels right. A thoughtful goodnight message, a voice note, or even ending a call with a warm tone can do more than hours of flirting. The trick isn't to demand attention, it's to create an emotional space where he feels safe and seen. So before he sleeps, don't try to impress him with clever words. Just be real, calm, and kind. Leave him with something that feels steady, something that reminds him of emotional safety. Because when a man associates that calmness with you, he'll think about you, not because he's told to, but because he wants to. And that's where genuine obsession begins, in the quiet space where his thoughts settle, and you've become the calm he can't replace. Every man deals with noise, endless work pressure, messages, social media, and people wanting something from him. Most days, his mind is filled with demands and distractions that pull his energy in every direction. So when he meets someone who doesn't add to that noise but brings a sense of calm, it instantly stands out. That emotional contrast between the chaos of his day and the peace you give becomes magnetic. It's not about being overly sweet or trying to fix his problems. It's about being a soft place where his mind can rest. When you send him a message that's not heavy, not demanding, but thoughtful, you change the rhythm of his night. Instead of feeling drained, he feels grounded. For example, saying something simple like, "You've done enough for today, rest easy," isn't just words. It carries reassurance, warmth, and quiet strength. You're not just showing care, you're creating emotional balance. He might not even realize why it feels good to hear from you, but deep down, it's because your energy feels safe, not chaotic, not needy, just peaceful. People often think attraction is built through constant communication or attention, but it's really built through emotional contrast. If every other person is rushing to be noticed, your calmness becomes rare. You're not chasing, you're centered. That difference creates curiosity. He starts wondering what makes you so balanced. When he feels that emotional ease, he begins to associate you with relief. And relief is powerful. It becomes addictive because it's rare to find someone who doesn't drain you emotionally. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or act distant. It means you learn to bring your calm energy even when things are uncertain. You can express warmth without overdoing it. You can care without crowding. When you master that balance, your presence becomes something he looks forward to at the end of his day, like a quiet reminder that not everything needs to be rushed. So the next time you connect before he sleeps, focus less on trying to sound interesting and more on being emotionally steady. Let your tone, your words, and your energy give him a break from the world. When he closes his eyes, he won't just remember what you said, he'll remember how it felt. That's what keeps him thinking about you long after the conversation ends. You become his calm in a world full of noise. One of the most overlooked ways to make a man think about you constantly is by leaving a little room for curiosity. When every conversation ends perfectly tied up, there's nothing left for the mind to linger on. But when you leave him with something a bit open, something he can wonder about, his thoughts keep coming back to you. It's not manipulation, it's about natural intrigue. Curiosity is what keeps attraction alive, and it's what makes your energy unforgettable. Think about the moments when you found someone fascinating. It's rarely because they told you everything. It's because they made you feel something, and your mind kept revisiting that feeling. That's what you want to create. When you talk to him before he sleeps, don't rush to fill every silence or explain every thought. Maybe you share a small, meaningful comment like, "There's something about today that made me think differently," and leave it at that. You don't need to explain what you meant. That single line makes him wonder what's behind it, and when his mind wanders before sleep, that's where it lands. On you. Curiosity creates emotional depth. It gives him space to miss you, to fill in the blanks with his imagination. The moment you stop trying to be predictable, you shift the power of connection. He starts thinking, not because you demanded his attention, but because your energy invited his curiosity. The beauty of this is that it feels effortless. It's not about games, it's about allowing mystery to exist. Many people rush to prove themselves in relationships, to show how much they care or how interesting they are. But sometimes, the most captivating thing you can do is hold something back. Not emotionally, but conversationally. End a chat on a light but thoughtful note. Leave a question hanging, or simply say, "I'll tell you the rest tomorrow." That single line plants a seed in his mind. He'll go to sleep wondering, and that wonder quietly builds desire. When you become someone he can't quite predict, not cold, not distant, just intriguing, you give him something rare. His brain keeps reaching for the unfinished connection, and that's how you stay on his mind. So the next time you talk before he sleeps, don't try to give him closure. Leave him with curiosity, because when his last thought at night is, "What did she mean by that?" that's when the real obsession begins. If there's one thing that quietly pulls a man closer, it's emotional safety. It's not about constant reassurance or saying all the right words. It's about how he feels when he's around you. When a man senses that he can be himself without being judged. When he feels that he doesn't have to perform or prove something to earn your attention, that's when he starts to relax emotionally. And when a man relaxes with you, he starts to connect with you on a deeper level, one that stays in his mind long after the conversation ends. Before he sleeps, that feeling of emotional safety becomes even more powerful. The mind replays the moments where it felt peace, comfort, and trust. So if your tone, your words, or your presence carry that calm energy, it becomes the emotional image he falls asleep with. He might not say it out loud, but he'll start associating that safety with you. You're no longer just a person he enjoys talking to. You become the person his heart rests with. Building emotional safety doesn't mean being overly available or saying yes to everything. It's about consistency, kindness, and authenticity. When you listen without rushing to fix, when you show understanding without trying to control, he feels free around you. For example, if he talks about his day and it wasn't great, you don't need to turn it into a deep talk. A simple, calm response like, "That sounds like a long day, I hope tomorrow's easier," does more than long emotional speeches. It tells him you're listening, you care, and you don't add pressure. Men remember peace more than perfection. They remember the people who made them feel grounded when life felt heavy, and emotional safety is exactly that. It's the quiet assurance that they don't need to perform. It's the feeling of being accepted without conditions. That's what keeps a man thinking about you, not the grand gestures, but the consistent comfort of knowing he can be real around you. So, when you connect before he sleeps, let your energy speak safety. Be steady, be warm, be yourself. You don't have to say much, just speak with presence, not pressure. Because when a man starts to feel emotionally safe with you, it's not just his mind that stays, it's his heart. And that kind of connection is what he'll crave every night before he falls asleep. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to make a man think about you before he sleeps is by showing genuine appreciation, not flattery, not constant praise, but real gratitude. When a man feels that who he is and what he does is noticed, it creates a sense of warmth that lingers far longer than compliments about his looks or charm. Gratitude makes a person feel seen in a world that rarely slows down enough to notice anyone. And when you express it authentically, it builds emotional depth without effort. Think about how most people end their day. Tired, stressed, and often feeling unappreciated. Now imagine he hears something from you like, "I really enjoyed our talk tonight. You have this way of making things feel lighter." Or, "I appreciate how thoughtful you are when you share things. It's not over the top. It's honest and simple." That kind of acknowledgement doesn't just make him feel good, it makes him feel valued. And when someone feels valued, they naturally start valuing the person who made them feel that way. The secret to this kind of connection is sincerity. Gratitude that feels forced loses its magic. But gratitude that's quiet, specific, and real, that's unforgettable. It's not about what he gives you, but about who he is when he's around you. When you recognize the small, meaningful parts of him, the way he listens, the way he shares, the way he stays consistent, it makes him feel emotionally safe and respected. That feeling sticks with him through the night, replaying in his thoughts like a quiet reminder of your presence. What's powerful about gratitude is that it doesn't chase, it attracts. You're not trying to earn his attention. You're reflecting appreciation for the connection that already exists. That emotional maturity stands out. It tells him you're not looking for validation, you're giving it, and that shift changes everything. He'll begin to associate you with warmth and emotional balance, which makes him want to come closer without you ever having to push. So before he sleeps, let your last words be kind but intentional. Leave him with a thought that reminds him of his value, not as a performance, but as a person. Because when a man feels truly appreciated, his heart softens, his mind replays the moment, and his connection to you deepens naturally. Gratitude isn't about grand gestures, it's about quiet truth. And when he feels that truth from you, he won't just remember your words. He'll remember how you made him feel, seen in a way no one else did. One of the most engaging ways to make a man think about you before he sleeps is to leave him with a small spark of anticipation, not in a manipulative way, but in a warm, natural way that makes him quietly excited about the next time you'll talk or see each other. When you give someone something to look forward to, you plant a thought in their mind that grows even in your absence. It's the emotional version of leaving a light on, soft, inviting, and steady. This doesn't mean you need to plan something dramatic or be mysterious all the time. It's about using subtle cues that make him curious about what's coming next. For example, you might say something like, "Remind me to tell you what happened today." You'll laugh, or, "I have something to share with you. Tomorrow, it'll make your night better." Simple words like that create a quiet pull. They keep the connection alive even after the conversation ends, giving his mind something to revisit before he falls asleep. Humans naturally crave emotional continuation. When something feels unfinished yet pleasant, our thoughts loop back to it. That's why this approach works. It doesn't pressure him. It just gives his mind a reason to return. He'll go to bed wondering what you meant, thinking about the tone in your message, and anticipating your next interaction. That sense of gentle curiosity strengthens emotional presence without you even being there. But there's a balance to keep. The goal isn't to play games or withhold affection, it's to spark natural interest. You can be warm, kind, and engaging while still leaving a touch of mystery. The anticipation should feel light-hearted and real, not strategic. When your energy is calm but confident, he feels that ease too, and that makes him not just attracted, but emotionally invested in what's coming next. So before he sleeps, don't feel like you have to end every conversation perfectly. Instead, end it with a soft thread that leads into tomorrow, something that gives him a reason to think of you in a positive way. Because when a man starts looking forward to your next message, next laugh, or next story, that's when you've truly made space in his thoughts. You're no longer just a moment in his day. You've become the moment he's waiting for. And that quiet anticipation, that light curiosity, is what keeps you lingering in his mind long after the night fades. One of the most subtle yet powerful ways to make a man think about you before he sleeps is by matching his emotional rhythm. People are naturally drawn to those who reflect their mood, not copy it, but understand it. This is called emotional mirroring, when your tone, pace, and presence align with his energy in a way that feels effortless. It shows empathy without words, and it builds connection without pressure. When a man feels understood emotionally, he doesn't just remember the conversation, he remembers the feeling of being seen. For instance, if he's had a calm or tired evening, and you come in with an overly energetic tone, it can feel off. But if you match that quietness with a gentle message like, "Sounds like it's been a long day, I hope you get some proper rest," you're connecting on his emotional wavelength. It's simple, but powerful. He feels that you're not trying to force a mood, you're respecting his space. That emotional awareness makes your presence feel natural, not demanding. Emotional harmony creates comfort. When he senses that he doesn't have to adjust his energy to talk to you, he relaxes. That's when real connection begins, not in constant excitement, but in quiet understanding. This isn't about holding back your true self, it's about awareness. You can still bring warmth, humor, and positivity, but in a tone that fits the moment. The goal isn't to mirror everything he says, but to tune into the emotional tone beneath his words. What makes this so powerful is how rare it is. Most people listen to reply, not to connect. But when you respond in a way that reflects how he feels, it builds emotional safety and trust. You become someone he can talk to without pretending. And when a man feels that level of comfort, he starts thinking about you naturally, because your presence represents ease. That ease is what his mind returns to when the day ends. So before he sleeps, take a second to sense his energy. Is he light and playful? Then respond with gentle humor. Is he quiet or thoughtful? Then keep your tone calm and sincere. You don't need to say much. Sometimes a few well-timed words carry more impact than long conversations. Because when your energy meets his with understanding, you stop being just another person he talks to. You become the one who gets him, and that's the feeling he won't shake off easily, even in his dreams. The final few minutes of a conversation hold more weight than most people realize. They're what his mind replays before he falls asleep. When you end an interaction with warmth, calmness, and emotional reassurance, you leave behind a sense of peace that quietly strengthens his attachment to you. It's not about saying something deep or dramatic. It's about how you close the moment. When the energy feels kind, grounded and real, he carries that feeling into his night and often into his dreams. Ending with warmth is like giving emotional closure without finality. You're not cutting the connection, you're softly pausing it. A simple line like, "I'm glad we talked, sleep well," or "Rest easy, I'll talk to you soon," gives his mind something gentle to hold on to. It's confident, caring, and complete. He doesn't feel the need to overthink what you meant or where things stand. He just feels good. And when someone associates peace with you, they start craving that feeling more often. Many people end conversations abruptly or with rushed goodbyes, not realizing how emotionally jarring that can be. But when you close the moment with care, it signals emotional maturity. You're not leaving him uncertain, you're leaving him reassured. This balance of warmth without overdoing it creates emotional rhythm. He knows when the day ends, your presence ends calmly, not chaotically. And that kind of consistency builds comfort, which naturally turns into attraction. The key is not to use this as a strategy, but as a reflection of genuine energy. When your tone is soft, your words sincere, and your goodbye graceful, it leaves a quiet mark. It tells him you value connection but don't depend on it for validation. That emotional steadiness feels rare, especially in a world where people often chase attention instead of peace. And that's exactly what makes you unforgettable. So before he sleeps, don't rush the goodbye. Slow down just enough to let the moment feel complete. Leave him with a few thoughtful words that remind him of your warmth. When he turns off the lights, he won't just remember what you said. He'll remember the calm it brought. Because in the end, people don't fall for noise. They fall for peace. And when you become the last peaceful thought before he drifts off, you're not just in his mind. You're in his emotional space. That's how quiet connection turns into lasting attachment.